Right, just clicking us all in together here, guys. It is a hot, sweltering Friday here. I'm going to introduce my guest in just a second. Yeah, hello and welcome to the Friday edition of Spurs Diehards TTID, Tottenham Till I Die. Yeah, tonight we'll be talking about the latest transfer rumours. Things are hotting up now, and we'll have a chat about the World Cup, in general. So I'm not going to hang about. I'm going to introduce our guest straight away. So, Steve, how are you, and what's the weather like in Michigan?
Well, first and foremost, thanks for having me on tonight. I know it's been a few weeks since the last time I appeared on the show. Unfortunately, the World Cup coverage and work has consumed my schedule. But that being said, I'm doing fantastic, even though I'm exhausted as hell today. But that being said, it's good to be on the show. Weather-wise, it's actually quite tame here in mid-Michigan. We've had, last couple of days we have been dealing with cloud cover and rain, so it's kind of tempered the temperature a little bit. But that being said, we're gonna have 90 degree weather very, very, very shortly. I heard you guys are absolutely having a heater over there in the UK.
Yeah, we are. That's why I'm going to ask Sean now. Sean's up in the tropical north in Bandit country. We call it Scotland, right? So, Sean, what's the weather like, and how are you?
It's been quite warm, although it's not quite the sort of the extremes that I've been seeing from our neighbours to the south.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hit the sort of like late 20s, which is very good for Scotland. And yeah, I mean, the only trouble is that we're getting a bit of a feel for how our colonial cousins get on with watching football at ungodly hours. Games at like 9 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock. That's kind of like a tough schedule. I have to say, I've not kept it across all the games, but what I've seen, I've quite enjoyed, and I've quite enjoyed seeing new players I've never come across before, and enjoying watching some players that I knew were good prove to be right as well.
Yeah, we've had 37 degrees C here. I mean, I'm heat intolerant anyway. I mean, I'm not a great fan of the heat. 21, 22 does me. If we had that all the time, that'd be my ideal sort of temperature. When it starts to get even warmer, when you're just sleeping on top of the bed, you know it's just with the windows open. It's hot at night. I'm total opposite to some of my family. They love the hot temperatures. I don't. I just don't. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to see who's in the chat on this Friday. You should all be in a pub drinking down in your first. We've got a few in there. Brian, big up Brian. Brian's in Cheshunt, quite near me. He's ex-bricklayer, the same as me. We've worked together in the past. Then I've got, you're saying good evening, Steve. Got Simon Swall, another good friend of the show, saying good evening. He's saying hello to you. Then we've got another Brian Maguire. We'll come on to that. And then we've got Sean. And while I'm here, I've got Steve's link here because I always put them in the chat. It's also, I've got it as a banner as well. So those of you visiting the channel or those of you that are watching us now on playback at a later time, get over to Stateside Footy. Okay, so let's go on to the banners. Yeah. On the transfers, I mean, just so as people know, I mean, this guy, we got him from the City Group. He's now able to work. He's working with us now because he was on gardening leave. He's the director of football operations, part of the club's executive leadership team, reports directly to sporting director Johan Lang. I'm like that, like a load of fans would be. Responsibilities of I can only fit contract negotiations in. He's also in charge of all the women's team. His role, he's got a rather wide remit as it happens. So this is the guy for fans that want to hear this anyway, rather than hear and give Lange any credit or Vinay Van Catch him any credit. Sean, this is the guy who will sign off the contracts.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to have one, but I mean, you and I, Adrian, are of a generation where the only people that concerned us at our football club when we first went were the guys who were proud, who were lucky enough to wear the white shirts, and the guy that was directing them from the sideline.
Yeah.
The trouble is modern football has now become more interested in what goes on in the boardrooms rather than the pitch, it seems. So, yeah, I mean, we need him. The fact that we still got Johan Langer after last season, and it doesn't look like he's going anywhere from Vinay's statement so far is a concern, especially as tonight across the Twitter sphere there does appear to be where we'll get into that, no doubt.
Yeah, Steve, looks like we're not looking for a director of football as yet, which if there isn't the right person out there, then I haven't got an issue with it. But some of the fans on social media are going to milk down, why haven't we got a director of football? I think maybe because some of them didn't realise we've got this guy. Yeah. Because they don't want to give Lang or Vinay any credit. I get that. I would have sacked Lang in January. Apart from that, I thought the work he'd done before that, if you actually listed all the players that he's brought in, and that includes really Senesi and Van Heck now, as well as Bergvall, Gray, others. I mean, and the players that left, I mean, I did have a big list of them. I'm not his fan. I mean, I was fully supportive of Langer until January. Anyone who puts us through that, white knuckle run with the fear of relegation because you're waiting for injured players to come back and then you expect them to hit the ground running. I just thought that wasn't being proactive, which we needed to be in a January window. So sure. I'm pleased this guy's here though.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of it other than I kind of feel embarrassed for Johan Lang. Because his responsibilities is contract negotiations, but understand that Morrison, Carlos Rafael Morrison, I think he's with City Football Group for about a decade, but for 4 years, he was their senior sales strategy and development manager before stepping up into a wider, I guess you can say, role, which included football affairs, but he was. I guess you can say, at Citigroup, he was called the director of football transactions. Yeah. So it is like I guess his strong suit is sales, but also being able to entwine sales, essentially selling the club to a prospective player and then buttoning down a contract, right? So why was he brought in to handle, I guess, this responsibility of being able to hammer down contracts? Last time I checked, I thought this was Johan Lang's job. I thought this was his job, I guess you can say, as sporting director, which is to sell the club to prospective players and then hammer down a contract to make sure that player is brought into the club. And so from that standpoint, I don't know what to make of this. I really, outside of understanding that he came from City Football Group, okay, that's great. So you worked with Manchester City, but I don't like that's like for me. I just don't know what to make of this, because what is his role? Is he the director of football operations, or is he just a contract negotiator? Right? Like I don't know.
He's in charge of all the, like when it says football operations, that's firstly everything that happens to training ground, the women's teams, everything. I get the impression that he, like Langer, Vinay, and you've got De Zerbi, we discuss the players they want. I think Langer will do, because he's got to show it's part of his job. He'll do all the initial contacts with the player's agent, the players, and all that, and see what he comes. When it comes to the money angle and the contracts, I think Moisten's the guy that does that. That's my understanding. I think that's what Spurs fans would like, because they won't want to give Lang any credit whatsoever, which I understand. But I because way it sounds, because I remember Langer screwed up on the Pedro Porro deal, and Levy had to fly out and fix that one when we got Pedro Porro in. So, good evening, Al.
Hey, guys.
What's your take on no sporting director? I'll hide this as we can see you.
There he is. There he is. Big Al.
What's going on, guys? I'm assuming that it has to do more with maybe they're insulating so that they don't have to use Johanna Lang for everything. Maybe they're trying to spread out his responsibilities so that rather than removing him, so that people can say, well, De Zerbi is working with this new person instead of directly with Johanna Lang. You see it in the corporate world a lot, CEOs and presidents, they tend to give up some of their responsibilities. They kind of diversify, and it's really just a way so that if they need to cut a head later on down the line, that's the head that they cut instead of this other person. I don't know what Johanna Lang has on the ENIC, where they feel like they have to do this, but it is what it is.
Look, in fairness to the guy, I mean, I want to. If we either go with a sporting director or, like Sean alluded to earlier, we didn't have them in the past. We let managers pick them out, and the chairman of your club went and got the deal done, right? But Levy's gone now, so I mean, I would like a sporting director if it's the right person, but just a little bit earlier to these guys that if there isn't the right person out there, you can't get the right person, and don't bother. I like the manager to have a lot more say. The manager should, because then if it goes right or wrong, he can take the praise or he can take the bullets. You know what I mean? Just put your link up, Al, as well. Before.
Thank you. And De Zerbi seems like the kind of manager who would want to either get the praise or the bullets. He seems like that kind of guy where he's willing to go out on the limb. And if it doesn't work out, he'll be the one to take the bullet.
Yeah.
It just seems like that's kind of the guy he is.
Okay.
I guess my logical question for all three of you, and maybe you guys have actually read this, but what is the relationship between Morrison and Roberto De Zerbi? Is this guy coming from City Football Group? Is he going to be open to working with Roberto De Zerbi, right? Because if anybody knows exactly the type of profile of player that is going to elevate this club, it's going to be Roberto De Zerbi, right? And so is is this guy going to be able to work hand in hand with Roberto De Zerbi? Because the last thing we need is friction between the two of them.
I don't think so. I think they will have contact, but I don't think so. You'll have Johan Lang, he's the director of football, working with De Zerbi. And remember, you got Rob McKenzie. Don't laugh, fans. I know 60 of you watching us, listening on various platforms. You've got Rob McKenzie, right? Who's chief scout. Right?
Oh, right.
And he's got a 10-man team under him. I know we've got Max Leggett, who's a scout in Germany. We've got Ferreira in Portugal, another guy in Italy. Then there's another 2. And then there's 5 scouts under him that deal with analytics and stuff like that. So, I mean, there's a big team there, and, you know. So, go on, Sean. I think it was breaking up. Sean?
Yeah, I was just going to say, you know, I don't have any confidence in them. You know, it's just, you know, it's. I mean, I think. I mean, De Zerbi is obviously identifying his players, and he's managed to get Van Hecker, which has obviously raised the sort of like confidence that we're doing something right. But you know, is he going to? You know,
yeah.
I mean, to be honest, part of me is really disinterested. I just want to get onto www.tottenhamhotspur.com and say welcome to, you know. And
on that,
you know,
with you, and we'll move on now. Right, De Bragva signs, Sean. Yeah, I think this is very revealing. But give us your take on De Bragva signing.
Yeah, I mean, this is a sensible move if they got. Yeah, I mean, it's the message it sends about our goalkeeping situation for the season to come, doesn't it? It effectively says we're going to build on the 7 games that Kinski had at the end of last season. He's going to become the club number 1. I believe he's signed a new contract, and it looks like, you know, the end of the road for Vicario. So, you know, that's, you know, if that's the road they want to go down, all well and good. You know, time will tell, won't it? Time will tell. I'm not convinced by Kinski, but he deserves a chance because of the miracles he pulled off towards the end of last season.
So, Steve, this tells us that our priorities lie elsewhere other than a new goalkeeper.
I actually like the idea of Dubravka coming in, because one of the things that we absolutely need is at least a competent, solid backup. Because it seems like Antonin Kinski, Big Tony, won the heart and mind of Roberto De Zerbi towards the end of last season, to a point where he made the decision that is going to be his goalkeeper moving forward. And good on Tony Kinski. The interesting thing about Dubravka, though, is last season, and I believe he was playing. I think he was playing overseas, but he had 127 saves last year, but he only had a 64.1 save percentage, 701 passes, but his passing percentage was only 58.2. 252 accurate long balls and a 33.8% accurate long ball percentage. And so from that standpoint, you know, you're kind of looking at it like, okay, there are going to be, like, to me, I look at this as opponent specific. You know what I mean? Like where Dubravka could be deployed, whether that's in a cup competition or something like that. But the interesting thing is this almost feels like it's going to be better than a guy like Brandon Odston, but it's not going to be so severe where Tony Kinski's actually going to have to, what's the accurate word? Like, there's going to be a serious challenge to his number 1 spot. This is like the true definition of a backup goalkeeper. And, you know, for the price that we paid, I actually think it's pretty good business. But that being said, you're absolutely right. I think right now the focus is on improving this attack, because and I'll say it again, one of the things that we didn't do well last year was A, pass the ball, and B, score goals. And so those 2 things absolutely have to be upgraded as of like yesterday. And so if that is Cody Gakpo, I'd love to have Gakpo. He's an absolute fantastic, solid Premier League winger. And even a guy like Omar Mamouche, although I feel like we can do better than Mamouche. But that being said, beggars can't be choosers at this stage, coming off of 2 17th place finishes. So I would welcome both.
Alan, unlike other positions on the pitch, the outfield positions, to have two top-class goalkeepers, I mean, it is awkward. I think this is not a bad move. I've seen fans whinge about it and listened on other podcasts, we're bringing a third, blah, blah, and all that. But what are you going to do then? Like, play one goalkeeper one game and the other one the next? You need a settled goalkeeper behind a regular defence, don't you?
Last year.
Yeah, well, that happened at Arsenal when they grabbed Raya, you know, because they had Ramsdale,
yeah.
and then they were playing Ramsdale a little bit, and then they were playing Raya a little bit, and then there was like the tug of war between the two until they finally committed to Raya and let Ramsdale go. It would essentially, as you kind of pointed out, unlike the other outfield positions, this is the one position where you can't really have two top goalkeepers vying for the role for a extended period of time. One of them is going to leave the club because they're going to want regular time. You know, it's you don't see substitutions of goalies at the 60th minute like you would, like you would at the other.
That'd be sweet though.
No, we do it at 17 minutes.
Right. Yeah, we do it at 17 minutes.
Yeah. So you just don't. There's not really an opportunity. You know, you have your one and you have your backup, and it's also a very difficult position to find a backup for, because who wants to play second fiddle unless you're either very young, already acclimated to it like Brandon Austin is, or you're at a certain age like Fraser Forster is, or
we had Gazzaniga, we had Hart, we did this. We've done this before,
right.
With
or Joe Hart or something like that, where you're already at that age where you expect someone younger will have already taken the role as the primary. So Martin Dubravka tells me that we were not expecting to spend any money this season on a backup goalkeeper. Just like Sean said, it sounds like Kinski is our number one. Although I was pretty convinced, similar to how I'm convinced about Matisse Tell has the potential, is because he's so passionate. You know, Kinski, he had such a poor game in that Madrid game, and he bounced back. He ended the season on a clean sheet. You know, he did well over the course of those remaining games, and he showed a lot of heart. And that really resonated.
Yeah. And I didn't think it. I mean, wet conditions on a pitch that they've had issues with, right? And then you want to give your goalkeeper, right, his virtually debut away at Atletico Madrid. I mean, for F's sake.
Yeah.
I mean, I just thought that was so wrong, right? If he'd played a blinder, I'd been proved right. But he had a murder, but that was a risk not worth taking at that time.
Yeah.
Anyway,
completely
let's
agree.
move on, because I want all of you's take on this. Sean, transfer market inflation effect. This is why I brought this up. This is quite complex, I think. We've now seen Elliot Anderson go to Man City. We don't know how they're going to structure the payments, whether they're going to do them before Wednesday when the new financial year starts for the vast of Premier League clubs, or get it in before, right? Or how it's going to be structured. But Mike, I was giving this some thought, and I'm thinking about, well, hang on, this 116 million, and we're being quoted, we'll come on to the players we're quoted for 85 to 100 million as well, right? And how is this going to affect the lesser clubs now? Before they could compete, they could go out and buy players for 15, 20 mil. You know, now we're asking 50 mil for Vuskovic or something. Probably the same for Bergvall or more now that Nottingham Forest have got the money in, or the money on paper in, right? So, I mean, whereas Brighton used to go out and get players for 15 and 20 mil, they're not going to be there anymore, are they? So will it actually mean that the richer clubs, which include Spurs, before there used to be a big gap between the rich and the poor, and it got closed because of all the money coming in the Premier League, right? It'll become a more level playing field, and the mid teams and the lesser teams were beating some of the top teams, because they don't stay in the Premier League on their away form anyway, right? So what's your take? Do you think this is a bad thing? This
I mean, again, it's it's one of those off-field things which doesn't resonate with me. It's not my money. It's not my money. It's not. They're not taking it directly from me. Then Vinny is not coming to me and say, Sean, that we need a million from you to go and buy a player. It's voodoo economics, to be honest, the way football is going. And as you say, what was 20 million is now 50 million. And we're joining in, and it's going to make what it's going to do is going to make it a little bit more difficult for the sort of good recruiters, the likes of Brighton and Brentford, to get the bargains that they were getting, and then flipping them and getting the I presume if they still identify those players, they just realise they're going to have to pay a bit more, but then they're going to pass it on when they inevitably sell them to the clubs further up the food chain. So in the end, it's the cost of football is beyond nonsense. The only thing is that the change in the squad cost ratios is going to make it a lot more difficult for clubs that are in Europe. Luckily this season we don't have that to worry about, so we can spend up to 85% of our revenues on new players, whereas the likes of Brighton and those teams that have got in, Palace, are suddenly realising they've got to cut it to 70% to meet with whatever UEFA wants. So it might mean that the likes of the good functioning clubs, if you like, the likes of Bournemouth and what have you, will only have the odd season in Europe. They won't go on to become, a new top six or whatever. I kind of wonder, how it's going to play out. I mean, at the moment, we're going to use this.
Especially older fans, Sean, because I remember we getting Chivas for 125 grand and paying 99,999 for Jimmy Greaves. Well,
that's right. I mean, in history, we used to set records. Martin Peters, for example, was part of a £200,000 deal.
Yeah,
and that was like, oh my God, the world is coming to an end. But now it means nothing now. It may as well be down the bingo club.
Okay, Steve, what's your take on this inflationary effect? Do you think it's good or bad, or do you think it'll break a lot of clubs eventually?
Well, what I think is that there is now a gap between the top 10 and the bottom 10 of the Premier League, where only the top 8, maybe 10 teams are going to be able to afford players inside the Premier League. And so that leaves your Sunderlands, it leaves your Brightons, your Bournemouth, your Fulham to pursue talent outside of the Premier League. And I think Sean actually highlighted this actually quite well, because if you're a Brentford or you're a Brighton or you're a Fulham, and for a fact that a market value midfielder is only going for $30 million, but Club A is asking for 55 to 60 million pounds, you've been priced out of the market. So that means you're going to be shopping in Austria and Belgium and Italy and France, because you're going to be looking for talent that is relative to the market value of what those players are actually supposed to be worth. And I think Sean highlighted something absolutely brilliant, is the fact that because now there is a gap between the top 10 and the bottom 10 of the Premier League, now you've essentially created a system where the bottom 10 have become feeders to the top 10. Because what's going to end up happening is these clubs understand that, okay, cool, if we can't buy talent relative to their market value, then we're going to do exactly what they're doing, which is upselling players that have no business going for that price. So if a Fulham go to the Belgian Pro League and find a midfielder for 15 million pounds, and they develop him for 2 years and he pops. Now all of a sudden you're going to be able to sell that to Manchester United for 3 times the value, and all of a sudden you've done good business. And so that's exactly what this is created now in the Premier League is a haves and have nots. Only those that are going to be in the top 8 can actually purchase players from England. And what's funny is like 10 years ago, I kept hearing the term the English tax, and I thought it was kind of funny. But that being said, now we've seen exactly what this market has produced over the last 10 years, where it's not just it's not just cute saying it's an English tax. This is now just the cost of doing business, right? Right off the rip, you're paying 20 million more pounds than you probably should be, which it just means that you're going to see directors of football that are going to be far more savvy. Whether instead of buying the player from another Premier League, maybe you're going to dip into the Championship, or you're going to dip to Austria, Belgium, the Italian second division, the French second division, maybe in the French first division, because again, you're not going to overspend relative to market value.
Alan, I mean, we've seen it crept up slowly with the kids, but we did pay 12 mil for Vuskovic from Hedgick Split when he was 16, which is unheard of at Spurs, and we did pay 8.5 mil for Bergvall, right? It was like very young, sort of at 18. I mean, when you're paying it when they're sort of 20s, you sort of understand it a bit more because they've shown a bit more. They've had a few extra years of football. But I mean, like I struggle with these amounts now. I do struggle with them. What's your take on the inflationary effect?
Well, I think what you're going to see is, and I think it is evolution. I think it's just one of those things that happens in sports. We've seen it here in America. Evolution of sports. It's why the stadiums are getting bigger. The owners are wealthier. I think what's going to happen is just like we're seeing in the Championship right now. Tom Brady bought into Birmingham City, and Snoop Dogg bought into Swansea, and you got.
Did he really? Snoop bought into Swansea.
Swansea, yeah, and Rob and Ryan bought into Wrexham, and you got the celebrities who can afford it, who have the big money, are starting to get into the game. And I think what'll happen is you're going to see the smaller the smaller clubs in the Premier League most likely get sold to big conglomerates and others that have the means to compete. I just don't see them being the small owners anymore. They're going to be nameless big owners, and or named. So it's going to be the Tesla owners, or the what I mean, the SpaceX owners, or the Microsoft owners, or whoever. It's going to be that way, because it's going to be the only way we can compete, because it doesn't seem to want to go backwards. We talk about like a couple of years ago, a player like Tonali may have cost 50 million. Let's say, or 45 million is now 100 million for some reason. It just doesn't. It's just crazy numbers. These numbers, and where they're coming from, I don't know. Newcastle really hasn't won a whole lot. Tonali hasn't really. I like him as a player; he's very good, but is he someone that you build? To me, when you play, we didn't even sell Harry Kane for 100 million, and he's like a guy you build a team around. So I kind of equate 100 million to someone like a Harry Kane, who you build a whole team around. So does that mean that we build a whole team around Sandro Tonali? Does he seem like the kind of player that you would build a whole team around? I don't know. Maybe he is, but it just seems out of whack. And the only way to continue as a going concern for a club like West Ham or well, I guess not. No, maybe West Ham now, but other team, Brentford, Brighton, Southampton, Sunderland. These clubs at some point they're just going to get sold to giant corporations because they're the only ones that are going to be able to afford these price tags and salaries. You know, we would never be in competition if we were still under Daniel Levy. Daniel Levy, for all of his financial wizardry, was sort of thinking in a bygone era. You know, his framework has already passed him by. You know, the game has passed that has passed him by. So you can't pay those kinds of wages anymore and expect that you're going to get top tier talent anymore. You're just not, because your Manchester Uniteds, your Cities, and your Chelseas, they're going to pay stupid, ridiculous money for that player, and you're never going to compete, even if you are a team that is built on pride and you lived within PSR and you have a wonderful history, beautiful history, a wonderful stadium. It's not going to be enough. So, I think this is where we're headed is evolution.
Yep.
Just want to read. I just want to read this comment out. Yeah, big up. I haven't got a clue how to pronounce your name, mate. I haven't got a clue. Riman, maybe it's Riman. Shumit. I mean, I don't know. Well, now you know where you are. Please go over and subscribe to the channel, and give the video a thumbs up. And we've got 105 of you viewing us now, which is fantastic on this hot Friday night, right? If you can get over to, click the link in the bottom right-hand corner, subscribe button. We can't see it because we're live, but you can. Subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up. It helps the algorithm. And as you found us, tell your mates about Spurs Diet. We're very young. We're only a couple of years. We just turned 2, I think. And so we're a very young channel, but we class ourselves as a mature and sensible niche channel. Really, we're a niche channel. Like that. There's lots of good. I mean, I'm subscribed to about 40 other channels, right? And listen, they're all got genuine, well-meaning, well-intentioned Spurs fans that run them. They've all got a different tone to them. Some are light entertainment, some are jokey, some are more serious, blah, blah, blah. We're a discerning group here at Spurs Diehards. We like to bring you facts, right? And so I ain't knocking any of the others because they're much bigger than us, right? So, Okay. You were going to say something, Steve. I'll bring
I was going to say, just to piggyback right there on Alan, who eloquently put it correctly. The days of an Alan Sugar buying a Premier League team, the days of a Jack Walker buying a Blackburn Rovers and getting them a Premier League, those days have been long gone. As long as you have state-sponsored football clubs like City and Newcastle, and the days of these American investment firms buying up Premier League teams for $1 billion means that the only time where you're going to get community ownership now is either going to be in the non-league or in League 2, maybe even League 1. But you're also seeing championship sides now being sold to wealthy hedge funds, or i.e. Tom Brady or Snoop Dogg. And so from that standpoint, the community aspect of a football club, the soul, which is the soul's right to breathe for supporters, of being a part of the community, that unfortunately is dead and gone.
Evening, Zeus. I know it's not evening where you are.
At least at the Premier League level.
How are you? Zeus? You okay?
I'm good. Yeah,
we're just talking about the transfer inflation effect on the game, whether it's a good or bad thing, like with these steep rise in prices. I think it also shows that with higher prices, the lack of quality players out there, because you're paying top dollar because there isn't enough. I mean, I think the Premier League's poor, but the standard last year, watching football, I think I'd rather watch I'd rather watch our under-21s anyway in the academy. I'm a big fan of youth football, so yeah. But Zeus, what's your take?
Is it kind of like the transfer? Is it the Wharton transfer for about 116 million, that kind of thing?
Elliot Anderson went for 116.
Sorry,
whether they pay them, I'll come on to the dates in a minute. Yeah. So and we're talking about how it affects prices, how it affects the less wealthier clubs. Will they still be able to buy players? Whereas before Brighton and like Bournemouth, they'd go out and get a player in for 15, 20 mil. Does it mean now that even if you want one out of the Championship, they're thinking, hang about, we want 40 mil for these players now, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy that I don't know, like I'm gonna call them a above average player is 80 million, I think, like with Tonali and those kind of things, and it's nuts. Like I don't know, it's just crazy, and you know, you kind of have to. Business is business. You kind of go with the flow, whatever the going rate is. Yeah, I mean, it's turning into kind of like a situation of the have and the have-nots, right? Like people are criticizing Spurs for, this is a stadium that all they do is concerts and all that. But hey, look at the benefits of that, and we're getting to, we're able to spend the money. So I'm not mad at it. I'm just happy that I support a club.
That's a big point you make there, because we now have 30 events at that stadium a year. And the extra revenue, as it's bringing us, we're approaching 600. Well, we're out of Europe, won't get it, but we're over 550 mil. Probably might drop off down to 500 or something, because when we won't get that money from being in the Champions League, but we still earn far more money than most other clubs, which means we can pay. As we're out of Europe, we can spend 85% of our revenue streams. Plus, because of the crossover from FFP, financial fair play, to SCR, squad cost ratio, you can add another 30% on top of that. So we need to do it now. We need to do it early. We've already got the jump on our rivals and made them nervous, right? So because we've acted quickly, unheard of, right? But
yeah, I mean, it's positive for us, but it's just kind of crazy that a good player is 80 or so million pounds. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of where the game is going. But hey, sucks for them.
The only note of caution I would say to this gentleman is it's all reliant on TV money, and at the moment, Sky have got very deep pockets. But they're not increasing their subscriber base, and eventually it's going to come to them. And there's a reckoning, and internationally, everyone is saying it. Internationally, there's a reckoning coming.
Well,
and I think this is where we might start to see clubs getting into trouble.
And I'm going to stay with you after I've made my point, but you made a good point, because the stadium itself, on games, it's a lot of money. It's 6 million a game we make, right? But you're talking about 120 million a year roughly for home games, right? We don't know if we're going to be at home in any of the cups, right? So, or keep drawing home games in the cup. But 120 million, that's small fry compared to what we earn, because we're earning 550 million. So the money, like you say, Sean, it's coming from other revenue streams, all these concerts as well, plus advertising, plus sponsors. We make more money out of that than we do actual football. So it's a big thing. But I want to stay with you, Sean, because on the subject of transfers, right, for the 110 of you watching us or listening to us on various platforms, right, a new financial year for the vast majority of Premier League clubs begins Wednesday, the 1st of July. That's this Wednesday. A significant date for FFP SCR, financial fair play, squad cost ratio. Are we going to see this transfer window explode after Wednesday? Do you think clubs if they're going to spend money, indebted clubs are not going to the Wednesday, Sean, are they? They're going to wait for the new year.
Yeah, I mean, whether we're going to see it explode, I mean, I think the fact that a lot of the players under consideration are, sweating their socks off in Monterrey and LA and Montreal is going to maybe have a negative effect on that. But yeah, certainly from Wednesday onwards, I expect signings to be announced, and to be made official. Whether it's going to be an explosion, I don't know. I think the World Cup will probably curtail it a wee bit. But certainly
you can do medicals abroad, and electronic signatures are acceptable.
Yep.
Yeah, but I still think some players will want to focus on their own game, and some players will be like, those that are really focused on their game will say, contact me after July the 19th when the World Cup finals been had, you know.
Yeah.
Alan, so what I'm thinking is, like, Spurs have really got a clear run. I mean, I know it's a few days, but whoever we're going to bring in, we'll come on to names. Zeus is struggling to get back on, I think. Yeah, I mean, I would like to think we do some business between now and Wednesday to get the jump on our rivals who can't use the funds they might have available for next year. Like, you do it on TV rights and things like that. Yeah.
Yep. No. I think between Mateusz Fernandes and Sandro Tonali, I think if we're going to go big for them, I see us going for big for one of them in the coming days, because they want to put them on the books this year versus this next calendar year for them, where it starts anew, where we won't have the same budget, Now I saw that the Lewis family put in $100 million. Is that this year or is that after July 1st?
Well, they've just sold £400 million worth of art at Sotheby's from their art collection, so they're not short of a few quid, right? So they've put 100 mil on 100 mil, which was like put in January. It wasn't spent because we were all moaning just a little bit earlier about why Langer hadn't brought any players in January, but the money was there. It's 200 million. Then you're looking at player sales, and if all the players we're looking at go out, Romero, Richarlison, Sarr, Bergvall, Vuskovic, Divine. We know that Velez is going to Baharia. You got Ashley Phillips. You're looking at over £200 million bringing in. That's if this, but we don't know, because we know like Romero's sort of hinted he wants to stay now. He's seen what's happening, and Richarlison, it may be if we can't get a proper striker in, well then to me, all right, he's not my cup of tea, Richarlison, but then you keep him, let him run his last season down, and then get someone else either in January who shines or next summer, because it looks like with the goalkeeper, let's show we ain't going for another goalkeeper, and Kinski's going to be given a new contract. So it looks like we're looking at bringing two midfielders and a winger and a striker, and it's not looking likely to me that we'll bring Paulinho back if we get those two in.
No,
I don't think we will.
But that may have been the right call. I hate to say I can be nostalgic and want to keep someone who made me feel good at the end of the season. He scored the goal that kept us up. And he was a very good servant for the club in his time over his loan spell. I think he did great. But maybe because of outside influences, this is the right call that we wouldn't have been willing to make if we didn't have all of this going on. So I do think we're going to bring in a striker. If we don't, because we can't do a whole other season with just Richarlison and Solanke. We just can't.
You're right.
There's no way that happens. There's no other top club. There's no other club in the Premier League that is so bereft of strikers as us. I just don't see it. You see, like Sunderland with Brian Brobby's been having an amazing World Cup, and
there was a link yesterday with Delap at Chelsea.
Yeah, and it looks like Sunderland's also potentially linked with Flo Balogun of Monaco as well too.
Yeah.
And Ramos, Ramos, who I liked at PSG, he's gone to Milan now. 50 mil.
Mm-hmm.
Which seems like a steal to me.
It does to me as well.
Yeah. But I do see. I know there are a lot of players that want to concentrate on the World Cup, which would conflict with the calendar of July 1st. But I see us getting a lot of business done before the end of this, before July 1st.
Steve, I mean, to me, we've got the money to get the two playing players we want to bring in before Wednesday. Are that won't affect us. I don't know how it affects us after that, in case we only got one in before Wednesday and one after. And then you've got to look at the selling club. I mean, West Ham are going to want money in as soon as possible. I mean,
yep.
And Newcastle, again, I think they've got FFP issues as well. So, yeah. Well, let's talk about the players then, Steve. I'll come to you with this guy, right? Sandro Tonali, terms have agreed. He wants to come. Now, players always say that, but if suddenly Real Madrid pop around the corner, you know, it's a different ball game, right? So,
correct.
Terms agreed. 80 million offer rejected. I think we had another offer rejected. People said we went back with the same offer. I've seen that report. I don't believe that. I believe we probably upped it 5 mil to 80, and that was rejected. He's 26 years old, 5'11", right-footed, central midfielder, central DM. Newcastle stats: 35 appearances, no goals, 2 assists. On that, the no goals, 2 assists. When he was in Italy, he was much more creative. So I think Eddie Howe has constrained him. That's just something I've added to this. Like,
I would think so. You know, the interesting thing is this is 100% Tottenham Hotspur to the core, where they're lowballing a guy whose market value is somewhere in that $80 to $85 million range. So they're trying to get the low end of the deal. And unfortunately, Spurs are in an interesting position where they can't afford to do that, right? I understand not wanting to get crazy with it. But that being said, we're kind of in a position where we have no choice but to potentially overpay for the players that we actually want. Yeah. Right. So, for instance, it's like, Mateus Fernandez, who's 21 years old, coming off a relegation team. I think his market value is anywhere between like 30 and 33. And if, Spurs were to go in there and say, okay, cool, we'll split the difference and give you 32, that probably gets it done for an unproven midfielder. But for a guy like Sandro Tonali, who's coming in and who's actually going to be the engine of your midfield, somebody who does operate with flair and creativity, something we haven't seen in our midfield in a few decades now, and you're trying to lowball Newcastle because you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're going to have to overpay. Well, unfortunately, we just highlighted the fact that, if you're an English club trying to buy players from other English clubs, there's going to be a premium that you're going to have to pay. And Spurs are in a position where you're going to have to overpay for the players that you want. Like, if you really want Sandro Tonali, then go ahead and give it. And if they're asking anywhere between 90 and $100 million, 100 million pounds, then you do it. Then you do it. I mean, it strikes me that this is a player that Roberto De Zerbi really wants, right? Like, of all the names that have been linked, it seems like this is the guy that Spurs have landed on it. So that's okay. That's great. And listen, me personally, I think I kind of agree with Alan, right? Where it's like, if I'm paying a premium of 100 million pounds, I want a dude that's going to come in here and score 20 plus goals. That's just me. But what I will say is that, is this somebody that you can build your team around? No, but is it somebody you can build your midfield around? 100%. So that, therefore, it's like, again, I know Sean said it's not our money. That's very true. But that being said, this is quintessential Spurs, where they lock onto a target that they really want, and their first initial reaction is to lowball. Try to get him in on on a favorable deal.
I don't agree with the lowballing on this.
Yeah.
Because we're now going and offering 75 million, 80 million pound for a player and offering to give him 275k a wage. We're not lowballing. We're just trying to keep the lid on the pot here, because, like, I think
I get it. But that being said, if the market value is 85 million pounds and they're coming in at 80, that's a clear sign. That's a clear sign that they're not taking this seriously.
But we don't know. The media are the world's worst in creating inflation in the transfer market. They're the ones that come up and say, "Oh, it's 100 million and all that." I've not only Newcastle. I mean, like, I think this is a deal that could get done for probably 90 mil, maybe with add-ons to 100.
Yeah, potentially.
Then you're also looking at a 5 years with an extending option of a contract of about 12 mil a year. So it isn't a 90 mil, 100 mil contract. It's a 160 million pound deal. That's what it would be.
I get it.
Go on,
I get it.
I think it's just
Go on,
you
Zeus,
know,
Rob. Go on, Zeus. Go
yeah,
on,
I think
Zeus.
it's just regular negotiation. Like you're gonna try and bargain a little bit here and there. I think it will get done. And it's just maybe save a few quid here and there if you can, but I don't think it's gonna get away from them. And like let's
No,
say
we're gonna have to pay whatever they want at the end. Yeah.
yeah. But
Yeah.
if you could do it at 82, at 81 versus 85, like I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody would be okay with that, but the reality is, like, Newcastle are going to want exactly what what they set out to get, and Spurs are Spurs are a front runner. But that being said, go ahead and get it done.
The thing is, with all these inner papers, what pisses me off with the media, and they piss me off all the time anyway, right? Is we always get media generated sums. We're a bit clear on what West Ham want. But because it's sort of said that they've said they want 85, probably get 80. Actually, if Man United drop out and Spurs strung it out, which I don't want them to do, that price would drop down because nobody else is coming in for it, right? But go on, Sean, you were going to say something?
Well, there's two things on what Steve said. Sandro is not going to get you 20 goals. He's only scored a handful of goals since he's been at Newcastle. I think he's part of a system, part of De Zerbi's system, which possibly needs Fernandes as well. That's why we're going for both of them. And
he's nothing like Walton or nothing like that. He's very he's more aggressive, more dynamic. Gets stuck in as well, and he has got a pass on him. And I'd like to see him use it more, like he did in Italy.
It's he's not the answer to our goal problems from last season, but he's obviously. I think there's a kinship thing there because I think that he's from the same town as De Zerbi from Brescia, so I think they're trying to work on that. And I'm trying to think what the other thing was now.
Apart from that, though, Sean, just to help you with your answer a bit. I mean, you're Tonali, you're coming to Spurs. You're going to get more game time at Spurs than you are if you go to Man City, Man United, or whatever, because they've got bigger squads and better squads than us. Right? But whether that would affect the player or not, I don't. I think the 275k away has got a big influence on him.
Yeah, but there's always. I mean, excuse me, but I still have PTSD from last season's summer window. When we were assured, players were at Hotspur Way taking their photos. Gibbs White. And Tonali at the moment has got all the shades of one of those.
Without a doubt.
And to be honest, you might say, we don't go in for 80 million. 80 million breaks our current club record.
Yeah.
It breaks our current club records. The most we've ever paid for a player is 65.
We've got to do this now. If we want to try and fix things for the now as best we can, we've got to do these sort of deals. And if we've got that 200 mil of out player sales, then do the deals. Do the deals. Get them across the line before Wednesday, because our rivals are on the back foot. I mean, Man United don't know whether to shit or get off the pot, and they're very reluctant to pay that money for Fernandes, which is good.
Yeah, they can't afford him. They can't afford that.
And the player,
United's $1 billion in debt, and they also like 350 million in outstanding transfer fees that need to be paid, I believe, by the end of the 26-27 season. So they're not going to be in for him.
And add on top of that, Steve, they've just committed to a $2 billion stadium rebuild.
Yep, they just broke ground, I think.
And then they're in for a few other players. So I think what we've done to Man City and Man United, and I've done about Liverpool and Arsenal, it's like we've put them on the back foot. We've forced them on the back foot because they'll have their projects, they'll have the links of players they've got. They would, if you do it properly, list down, you think, right, okay, what's the most we're going to pay player A, player B, player C, player D? They'll have it all down, all worked out, right, let's go. If we can get them for less, we got a result. If we can get them because the name of their club's a bigger pulling power than wages are or whatever, then great, right? And now, Spurs, 275k a week. and and paying that money, and you'll get game time at Spurs, whether that influenced the player or not. But we've seen a lot of big buyers go to clubs and sit on the bench. And we do. Zeus?
Yeah. You're saying that the money that we're paying, the $275K?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see.
They offered like
275K. Fernandes might be about 200K. Man United wanted to pay 60 mil for Fernandes, which I think is a good price.
Fair.
They got him from Southampton for about 33, right?
West
Ham are digging a hill thing. But a relegated team selling a player, well overpriced. I mean, I've watched videos of this kid. He's good. He is good. I mean, otherwise the fan base would be up in arms. What, another 21-year-old?
Is he worth the 60 million pounds in order to get him, right? I don't necessarily know about that.
It'll be
Fernandes?
Mateus Fernandes. Yeah.
Yeah, let me bring up
I mean,
details.
I think
Right, let me go through these for those of you listening. 130 of you on various platforms, which is fantastic. Really appreciate your support. If you could subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up, I'd appreciate your support even more. So Fernandes is Portuguese, 21 years, 5'10", right-footed. He can play as a CM, a cam, a CDM. West Ham stats: 36 appearances, 3 goals, 4 assists. West Ham fee verbal agreement. This is like, apparently the fees agreed, and that with the player. This deal is definitely getting done, in my opinion. The Tonali one, who knows if there's a lurking white shark out there. I know that Sean will believe it when a player's wearing a shirt. I think we're going to get both of these. I do, but then I'm always glass 2/3 full. So
or Alex Scott.
He's not leaving. He's not leaving Bournemouth. He's not leaving, not this season. He's not. So, Steve, I don't think you've seen too much of this player because you're probably in Wonderland thinking like, who is this guy? Why we want to pay this much for him? Blah blah.
No, I've seen a little bit of him. It's not like I was watching West Ham week in and week out, but I mean, I've definitely seen him play. But the interesting thing about this is that in this scenario, I just don't understand exactly how number one, how we're going to be able to get both. Because if we get Mateus Fernandes, we're probably not going to end up with Sandro Tonali. It's either going to be one or the other. Which one is going to agree first? I can't see a scenario where we're going to bring in 2 midfielders, especially on the back that we still have Conor Gallagher and James Maddison still in the tuck, right? Our biggest issue is the fact that we don't have a link-up play between our defense and our attack, right? Sandro Tonali is the guy that kind of fixes everything. But that being said, if you can't get him, I wouldn't mind not mind having this kid. The issue is the fee, 60 million pounds for a dude that's really only worth about 30 million pounds. So we're paying double off the rip just to get him.
They bought him for 33 million off of Southampton.
Yeah, I know his market value right now is between 30 and 33.
Yeah,
that's what it's relegated. Yeah, for sure. But that being said, you're paying double off the rip to get this guy. And to be honest with you, if we're going to spend the money, I'd rather spend the money on a guy that's absolutely proven, and a guy like Sandro Tonali. That dude absolutely changes the trajectory of our midfield. Here's the thing. I don't trust. I'll just flat out say it plainly. I do not trust this team when it comes to relegation fodder. The last thing we need is bringing in players that just got relegated. I'm sorry. I'm 100% against it.
Alan, we seem to have shifted from earlier in a window for Tonali to Fernandes. So, for me, on the positive aspect, it seems to me, right, okay, we know wages and that were agreed with Tonali. It wasn't, so not the fee. And I think we shifted because he had all agreed terms with Manchester United. And then we come in. And I think so we switched from Tonali to kick Man United out of the picture, basically. I think we come in and put the pressure, put a bid in, bigger than theirs, wages bigger than theirs. And I think we've upset their, like I alluded to earlier, their transfer, because I think strategy, because the rumour was they were going to offer 60 mil and a wage, but nowhere near as much as us. And I think they've also got issues financially. With FFP and you look what they brought in last year, a whole forward line, didn't they? I mean, they've spent a
And
lot.
a
So
midfield.
I don't know their
And a
finances.
new goalie.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and going back, we've at Tottenham suddenly the reason why things have been like so awesome in the news, and it's been fun to be a Spurs fan again, is because they're breaking a pattern, right? A long-standing pattern where we're not even looking. I mean, forget wage structure. I mean, we weren't. Harry Kane was like on $100K, a week when he was with us, and all of a sudden we're talking about Sandro Tonali at $275. It's like, okay, I guess we're just throwing caution to the wind. That's awesome. Perfect. I think Sandro Tonali, they must feel like. The reason why they shifted, in my opinion, is because they feel like they've got that wrapped up. Like they're going to pay whatever they need to pay to get him. I think we're going to pay more than everybody else. We're a team that made it 17th the last 2 seasons, so I think we're in a place where that's going to happen. Where we have to pay big because we need for sure. We need different results than 17th or 16th. We need to find our way back up the table.
Big up, Nige.
Yes. As far as Fernandez, I think what I've heard consistently throughout, and I think what makes sense because West Ham is a relegated side, is they're going to agree to whoever pays the most because they are a team that needs the money. I don't know if they've had a lot of upheaval in their higher ups. I think one person in the higher ups left. I forget her name. She's also leaving. They have a stadium that nobody likes. And I think they need the money. And so we have to spend more. And I think United, we're probably going to slow play it because they can't afford to pay a lot. They just bought a bunch of players. We're sort of following United's roadmap where they bought a lot of players. They brought a lot of new players in, and they came in third. They did a great job. They also only had one game a week, aside from cup games. And I think it just makes sense. There's nothing wrong with following that roadmap. The difference is United's owners have put the club into severe debt.
Sure.
And I just don't want to, we have a lot of debt, but we're able to cover it. They really can't cover it.
Well, the other thing, Alan, is the fact that they're buying a Matthias Cunha and a Brian Mbemo. And we're bringing in defense instead of goals. That's the other difference between us and United.
Scored last night. For the Netherlands, he scored. But yes, you're right. We are solidifying our defense, and then moving forward, they brought in a Sesko, and they brought in. They rebuilt from the other side of the pitch and back to backward. We're going backwards to forward. So, but either way, there's no right way. As long as they get it done in this window so that we have the best opportunity to move up and stay up in the table, because we can't have seasons like we've had these last 2 seasons. So and we cannot depend on Solanke and Richarlison to be our numbers people for putting numbers on the board.
Right, I'll come to you, Sean. I mean, and I'll come to you as well. I'll come to you, Sean. Then you, Zeus. I just want to talk about. Does it bother you that perhaps we might start selling off of our academy talent, right? To sort of balance the books. I mean, I'll be gutted if this guy goes. I've followed him so much. Everyone knows how much I like him, right? But he's just one. I mean,
I think
like,
we all like
I
it.
mean, Bergvall as well. I like Bergvall, but I wouldn't be so heartbroken if Bergvall went, right? But, you know, is that a worry to you, or do you not care if we sell off talent to fund things if it means we progress quickly under De Zerbi?
You know me, Aidan. I'm a bit old school, and I suppose it's a case of if the talent comes from Hackney or Haringey or you know Essex, I feel that's more much more of a bond to them than I do to Vuskovic from Hajduk Split or wherever he came from.
Good point. It's a very good bond when it comes to playing local derbies against Arsenal and Chelsea. If you've got homegrown players that are brought up from the area, that
I mean,
got the fever and the blood, you know.
I mean, he's a talent, but I mean, 33-year-old Harry Kane toasted him in the World Cup the other week.
Yeah, but that's Harry Kane. Come on now, that's Harry Kane.
Well, he never got picked for the second match, did he?
I get it. But that being said, it's Harry Kane, though, right? Like, he eats.
Well, you would think the way that some of our fans speak about Vuskovic that he was the second coming of the second coming of Richard Gough or something. Right?
He's the best.
But he's 19 years old playing in the World Cup. He's 19 years old. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, he's the best young defender at his age I've ever seen. You know, I just think, and he's better than Danso, and I like Danso, and I've received pelts for saying this because I know how much the fans like a player who gives his all in, even if they've got limitations. He's better than Danso in every metric, apart from experience, because we know Danso's an Austrian international, and he looked okay when I watched him in the World Cup, right? But to me, I mean, we don't have a real pathway. The only players that have come through, Kane was lucky. He had about 6 loans. Van der Vaart said he was shit, right? He did. He said Van der Vaart went, he's crap, right? And then Tim Sherwood gives him his his debut, and the rest is history. He goes on to be a one-season wonder. He scores 500+ goals. You know what I mean? So, yeah. And the others that have scratched the fucking bar, Winks, Skip, Walker Peters, they've sort of just couldn't give us that extra like 20% level, that would be needed for them. They did okay for us. They weren't terrible, but and these kids are holding their own in the hardest league in the world. So you can't knock them for that, but they still weren't good enough. Really, they weren't the quality that we needed.
Was Skip one of them too?
Yeah, Skip was one. He come through.
Yeah.
Like
if you told me,
to be fair to Winks, and I know he gets a lot of shade from our fans. He did have a debilitating ankle condition, which he carried through for a long time, and no one gives him any credit for the fact that he still managed to play 30 odd times for England. So I mean, I think that there's a certain amount of revisionism going on there, but yeah. I just don't like the fact that we shit on our own. We shit on our own, and I don't like it. And what has Vuskovic done for me? Yeah, he's tore it up in the Bundesliga, but he's not. He's not done anything for me as a Spurs player. He's not stirred me, Adrian. And I'm not chasing him because he's in the Bundesliga. My focus is the Premier League.
He's still attached to Tottenham, right?
Yeah, I was coming to you. So what's your take
attached?
on
Attached? How?
Ashley Phillips, a centre back, Divine. I like Divine as a footballer.
I saw Ashley Phillips play for Plymouth at Millwall, and he looked a really good player. Mm. He captained Stoke as a lone player last season. To me, speaks volumes.
Yeah, I mean, and we got him from Blackburn, and I watched him when he was at Blackburn because I watch a lot of the young football. This kid's good, right? And he's a unit. He's 6'4", 6'5", or something like that. I mean, and all these kids are going to be millionaires, but less than 3% of them make it through, and then they don't. And the elite clubs, they go and spend money to fix a problem rather than play a kid. You'd have to have a horrendous injury list, and we proved it because we were playing Graham Bergvall, right? they'd have been drip fed into that squad if we didn't have all the injuries we had. They'd have been drip fed. And then we're bringing younger kids, Tell and Odegaard, into the team as well. And you'll know, Sean, as I do, back in the day when squads were only 14 players, right? If you brought reserve in, at least that reserve was going to play with 10 experienced players.
Mm-hmm.
We're bringing young kids in with young kids, and you wonder why we fail. You know what I mean? So, like, it was madness. Madness. Go on, Zeus.
I'm all for keeping him because just the level of hype around this guy, this kid is he's had the most noise made about him. Like some of the other guys you've mentioned, Skip, Winks, Ashley Phillips, although Divine, Mikey Moore. We know they're good, but this guy is definitely doing it. The ceiling is much, much higher. And
just to add to your answer, Brighton have offered 45 mil for him.
Yeah,
19, and now Liverpool are interested because Van Dijk, he's 35 now, I think, Van Dijk, and they need to revamp their defence. They've spent a fortune on their forward line, not all good players in their midfield. You got Zlobozlai playing at a fullback, for Christ's sake.
I mean, the fact that all these people are circling, it's like, yo, this guy is legit. Like, Brighton's scouting department is, top notch. So we know that we have a huge talent. Like, 45 is, I don't know if we desperately need the cash, but you send him out on a loan, let him get some game time, and you bring him right back to us. Literally, what happened with Kane when he started, showing signs at Leyton Orient and Millwall, I kind of envision something similar. And for me, right now, in terms of the club, I don't really feel much for any of the players as much as I did with Kane and Son. And I feel like Vuskovic could be that player because he's been attached for hopefully, when he finally comes through. Like I do think I don't know who the Spurs guy is right now. Like who is it?
And on that, how much do you think this is the agents out there? He's away with the World Cup, right? How much do you think this is the agents wanting to like squeeze some money out, get him a bigger contract, they get a bigger cut? Because he was 16 when we got him Vagic split for 12.5 million, fortune. He went to Poland for a season, smashed it, goes to Westerlo with Divine, was it Donnelly? Divine. Goes to Westerlo with Don, smashes it in Belgium, smashes it in the Bundesliga, joint top scorer with about 7 goals there in a poor Hamburg side. So now he's had 3 loans. Now, to me, he probably has got impatient. He was very good out there. He never talked to it. He said, I'm a Spurs player. And then suddenly we get the World Cup. We get to the end of the season and we start getting this noise around him. And he's only 19. And he couldn't come in a Spurs squad in January because he wasn't 18 until February. And under EU rules, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And another weird thing, unless you're 18, you can't even train with them. You can't even change in a men's changing room. Right? You're 18. No, you can't. It's a fact.
Well, Adrian, like if you told me that we were going to sell on Archie Gray or Lucas Bergvall or Matisse Tell or Ashley Phillips or Alfie Devine, I would be okay with it because this should be something that Spurs should do, which is pad out their transfer budget. Because again, we are realistically competing with the top 5 in the Premier League, and there has to be some profit coming in where we're going to be able to, that extra 10, 15, $20 million is going to be the difference between us getting a good player that's going to help us ultimately reach our goals. The most savvy teams do that with their youth. Very rarely do you see young players coming through. Now, that being said, Spurs do have 2 very good young players that actually could be pieces moving forward. One of them is Luka Vuskovic, and of course, we've been talking about him. He's 19 years, and Zeus actually hit this right on the head because number one, he's 19 years old and he's playing in a World Cup. 19 years old and he's playing in a World Cup. That means something, but also for the fact that when you have a team like Liverpool coming in after him, and you have Bayern Munich that was also inquiring as well too. These are some of the best teams in the world, and they're looking at this kid because they realize what we already know is that there is something special with Luka Vuskovic, and the other one is Mikey Moore, who I absolutely do believe has a future at Spurs in some capacity, whether it's this year or next year. But that being said, there has to be a limit on the players that you're willing to sell, and also a limit on the players that you're willing to keep. And I firmly hold on real quick. I firmly believe that both of these young kids, when they come into preseason this summer, that they are going to impress Roberto De Zerbi. As of right now, it's easy to say that they don't fit in the plans, but once they actually get into camp and they actually work with the first team, I'm so positive that these two kids are going to be going to impress. And so that also begs the question that, okay, fine, if that means Vuskovic goes back to Hamburg again on another loan this season, and maybe even next season as well too, when he's 19 and 20, and he comes back when he's 21. That's a couple of years down the road where the situation at center back is probably going to change. And at that stage, he will have 2 to 3 years of senior football in Germany. And at that stage, he's going to be able to hit the ground running, because we actually have a little bit now of a logjam at center back. So from that standpoint, that still does not mean that you sell this kid at this stage. He is an asset that's going to be a part of this team's future. I firmly believe that those two young players are going to be very pivotal for this club down the road.
Alan, I think we could add Will Lancashire to that. I'll come to you, Zeus. I think we can add Will Lancashire to this. We've had an offer of 20 million for him already, right?
Yeah.
And when you look at Mikey Moore, I can see it can cover the left wing spot. He can cover anywhere across the midfield. But Lancashire, if Richie goes and you bring in a striker, but even like Stephen Wall alluded to, it's all right having them in the squad, but if they're going to sit on the bench all the time, that doesn't help you or the club on evaluation, because you need them out on loan. But then you get to a stage where, like, hang on, does Bergvall want to go out on loan? I doubt it, right? Vuskovic maybe think, well, I've had 3 loans, Lancashire again did well in a poor Oxford side, 11 goals, I think. He does look a good finisher. In the 24 season, when the under 21s won everything, he scored about 30 goals, right? He is a goal scorer, but he scored against Galatasaray. I think he blocked his copybook because he got sent off, didn't he? Right?
Yep.
So he's got that natural instinct to be there, but it's still another leap in the Premier League.
Well, the thing is we're not very good at transitioning our youth squad into the first team. We're just not that.
No teams are. No teams are. It's a myth.
No teams are. And, kind of like Troy Parrott. I really liked Troy Parrott, and he's doing really well in
Holland,
in Turkey, right? He's in.
No, he's in Holland.
He's in Holland. Right.
Rumours he was going to Milan. Which Milan, I don't know, because one of them's got Ramos now, right, from PSG. So he's going to get picked up.
I see Will Lancashire having a similar career trajectory as like a Troy Parrott, where maybe he has to go to somewhere where he will absolutely kill it and make his way back, kind of earn his way back into the Premier League or Serie A or something like that, where he will just be a top talent and people will want him and he'll be loved. It's kind of wrong time, wrong place right now. To be a young player in a squad that seems to be transitioning from how we were doing business before now to buying ready-made players. I think we're all kind of done with, taking chances on youth. Plus, whoever we can kind of afford is willing to come to us.
Yeah.
Now it's let's go after bigger names. Let's pay bigger salaries, and gone are the times of how many Harry Kanes have really made it through. Harry Kane, that's pretty much it. Not a lot. Just not a lot. It's the unfortunate truth. Harry Kane was a once in a generational kind of talent for us. And other than that, we're probably going to have to acquire it for a extortionate amount of money somewhere else. And that's just how the game is played nowadays. That's Man City plays that game. Arsenal plays that game. Man United plays that game. Chelsea plays that game. The other big clubs play that game. They don't necessarily bring in from their youth squads. They're buying them and they're selling them. Look, Malagusto is supposed to go for like 70 million pounds or something like that is what I think they're asking, which is crazy. Malagusto is not a 70 million pound player, not a 60 or a 50 million pound player, but it's just, that's the world we live in now. And unfortunately for Will Lancashire, no one can afford to give him a chance because there's too much money at stake.
And we've got no European football this year, which helps.
We're limited at games
I'm not
unless
a fan of, but you can use it to blood youngsters, a competition like that. Or
unless he's willing to just wait for a chance to play in a cup game, but that's not enough of a reason to keep a player around and keep a bench seat available for them, just to play in cup games. It's just not.
Yeah. So I was just gonna go back a little bit. When you said, is it the agent that's kind of drumming up Vuckovic's price? Just thinking, is there a chance that he's the same agent that Draguzin had?
What, Floriminea? No.
He's not the same? Okay, because we know that guy's a rascal.
I'm not sure. I don't think it's George. No, it's Vinia. It's the one who's got close ties with Barcelona. Vinia? Something. If you're in the chat, is just get up his agent, please. I've got some comments there. Yeah, I mean, Lancashire, I think we have no choice but to add him to the squad this season, because if we keep look, Solanke got 15 goals last year, but only about 8 league goals it was, right? That wasn't bad for a first season at a new club. Got injuries here, took a lot of stick in social media. Everyone's slagging him off, but they're slagging a player off because he's injured. We get this all the time. It's not a player's fault they get injured. That's just, it's just nature, right? It just happens, right? So he hasn't been able to contribute. So that's their frustration. I get the frustration among the fans on that. So, but I think he has to be. I think he has more chance of being added to the squad than Mikey Moravuskovic.
I disagree.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Well,
I think so because of the striker, the direct number 9 situation. If you've only got Solanke, and now we haven't got a clue we're going to bring in, right, as another striker. We'll link with Delat. We'll link with every striker going now. I could list 12, right? But they ain't good enough. So that's why I think he's got the chance. I mean, I'm not averse. If we can't do it in this window, then keep Solanke and Richarlison. Let Richarlison go on a free or get a new club in January and have a look then. Because if there isn't the quality out there, and look at the prices, right? So if you're going to go and buy a striker now, there's a dearth of them out there, Zeus, right? If you get anyone half decent, he's going to cost you 50, 60 mil, and he might be crap, and you'll have wasted your money.
How many did Brubby have last season? I feel like he's someone, with the World Cup he's having, like.
Yeah, that's fatal though to go for a player that has a good World Cup or a good Euro. So I mean, what you then go and strip down their stats like Steve would do, and say, well, hang on, what have you done for your club level and all this, right?
Yeah, so, he actually had 7 goals in 31 games last season, which is
boom,
less than Solanke.
Yeah, which
so,
is not
so
but the World Cup could,
Yeah, so. I disagree with you, Adrian, simply because a few different reasons. For instance, I'll just throw this out there. Let's just say that Spurs end up with Cody Gakpo to play off the left. I listen, I like Cody Gakpo, but listen, he's different strokes for different folks. But that being said, it would alleviate the need for Matisse Tell to play out wide because he is a natural striker. And I get the impression that Roberto De Zerbi absolutely rates Dominic Solanke. Like, there has been no talk of selling Dominic Solanke whatsoever.
No, and he's been seen in the new strip, so he's not going anywhere.
And come to think of it,
in the new strip, so he's not going anywhere.
And come to think of it, I haven't heard any rumors relating to Richarlison either, right? And so from that standpoint, If they get a Savinho or a Gakpo to play off the left-hand side, it's going to allow Matisse Tell to go back to his natural position, and that's your third striker. That's the guy that you're going to rotate, and he's going to finally be able to actually train and develop at his natural position, which is what he plays. And so from that standpoint, there's not going to be a lot of room for Will Lancashire. I can actually see, here's the thing, if they don't sell him, I can see Will Lancashire going out on loan again this season.
A complaint from Liverpool fans, what I've seen in the media, so they're probably the same as every fan base. They are 50% like a player and 50% don't. That seems to be the norm out there. They said Gakpo wasn't at the time. Now, I like the look of him, right? And he scores goals. That's why I like him. At least he scores goals.
I do too.
I see him more as an inside forward than a dual winger. He's not a dribbling winger and all that. And to me, if you get a Savinho, although I want more goals for him, like his stats when he, I don't know if I've got him up actually. Probably not. If it is. Anyway, I'm not going to bother to look for it. With someone like Savinho, although, I look at Savinho as technically superb. Technically better than Gakpo, anyway. And what he would bring is the fact that on a lot of most teams play with a right-footed winger on the left-footed winger on the right. They play inverted wingers, and I just think, well, Savinho actually plays on the left, and he's left-footed, which means that if you've got a fit doggy, please God, because I like the player, and you've got Savinho there. You're going to be going down that left-hand side of that pitch. You're going to put in crosses in from the left side. So you're not going to be out swingers in more than you are in swingers if you're a right-footed, inverted winger playing on the left. And I just think having Savinho, I like him as an option. I don't know if we'll go for him or not, because I think he would help stretch the pitch out wide. That's my take on Savinho. But I want more goals from him. And he's got to score more. I'm like Mer with Rashford, to be honest with you. I'm not Rashford's biggest fan, to be honest with you. All those moves can't settle what's gone on. You know what I mean? I don't get it. Look, we're all going to trust his Irby, but I don't know. I think I'd rather take Gakpo than Rashford. And I'd rather take Savinho over Somerville again. He only got 5 goals and 2 assists last season because he finished strongly. Everyone was raving about him. All right, he's having a good World Cup in a Dutch team that are playing really well, right? But I'm not convinced about Somerville. Did well with Leeds when he's jumped up at West Ham. He hasn't actually set the world alight. 5 goals and 2 assists. For a winger, I want 1 in 4. Like I'd want 9 or 10.
Rashford was really good for Barcelona. Yeah. If we get that version of Rashford, we'd be.
I would take. That's a good shot. I would actually have no problem with Rashford.
Yeah. He's gonna want European football though, isn't he?
I think
he's in his career too, right?
Yeah,
he's like on 300,000 a week.
I think Rashford wants money.
He's at the age though, Steve, isn't he? He's at the age where he wants it. If you're Fernandes and you come to Spurs, you're 21. All right, Tonali's 26, right? So you've still got a few seasons. Sean, what's your take? You haven't said anything for a while.
We're talking about quality players. There's no doubt about it. Rashford's a good player. I'm not sure. I just don't know enough about Savio and Savinho. So, I just hope that we get our business done quickly and in time for pre-season. Obviously, some of the players, everyone goes back to his Girona stats rather than his Man City stats. Well, and I think a player who's playing with Haaland and he only has 2 assists. I think that's quite telling for me. Quite telling. He's got
in and out the team.
Brazil, Man City, 22 years old, 5'9", left-footed, left wing, attacking midfielder, right wing. Man City stats: 24 appearances, 1 goal, 2 assists. This is what concerns us. Now, Girona, who are one of Man City's through their group of clubs, they're like a feeder club to Man City anyway. 41 appearances, 11 goals and 10 assists. Now, that is impressive. Rumoured fee 50 to 60 mil. I mean, he is technically superb in my opinion, but that's only my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, we know where we've got deficiencies. We didn't score enough goals.
Yeah.
But whether that was down to the strikers or the fact there was no one to pass to the strikers is it's a very long debate. We could be here till Tuesday talking about that alone. But
And
I
if you
think
prefer this guy, I realised I keep making all these banners and to use at different shows, but Somerville at West Ham, Dutch, 24 years old, bit more experience, 5'8", right-footed left winger, Man United linked, West Ham stats, 56 appearances, 8 goals, 5 assists. This is in 56. Last season, 5 goals and 2 assists. Not good enough for me. And I'm not sure about him because he's only had that first season at West Ham. I'm not convinced. I know he scored a couple of good goals in the World Cup, but that don't sway it for me.
To be fair, it's West Ham.
Yeah.
I mean, West Ham got relegated.
Basket case club.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, going back with Savinho's stats. ChatGPT said he only started 7 games last season. So, the stats look bad, but then again, he obviously wasn't first.
Yeah, but he's obviously come on because he's got 24 appearances. So I don't know if they're 5-minute substitutions or half-hour substitutions, So, and it's a good point to make though. If he only started 7 games, but they got Doku, they had Bob was there at the time. You got Ryan Cherky, you've got Semenyo, right? You're going to take some pushing Semenyo and Doku out of that team, aren't you? Right? You've got Marmoush can even play on the wing, and I'm sure I'm missing someone else of importance on the wing, but I would look, the reason I like him, he'd also be an upgrade. Is he the total solution? Is he going to score goals? He should. He's that talented. He should get goals. But
I think any one of those 3 options would be an upgrade of what we have on the left, right? Like Savinho, Rashford, Gakpo. Like any one of those guys is going to be a
and the interesting point and the interesting thing you make there, Zeus, right, is the fact that all our signings and even these suggested links, they're all Premier League proven.
By the way, is Rashford still under contract with United?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, he's still their player. And they're
so
talking
is
40 mil
possible?
plus his wages. It's not happening. It's not happening.
Is it possible that we might be able to swing a loan with an option to buy?
I think they need to sell. They want the money.
I agree. I agree with you. They probably should sell him. But I mean, is it
him getting 40 mil and his wages? This is why Barcelona have balked, I think. Even they're trying to bring their wage bill down. I mean, so you don't want to be paying whatever the fee is. Get it up, someone in Google. Get the reported fee for Rashford. I thought I don't know if it's 40 million euros or something. But then you've got to add 300 odd K of wages on each season you sign him for. This is why they want loans. This is why actually it's
I think he's not shy of 400 grand a week. I think it's 375 seems to ring a bell. That's a lot of money.
I get the impression you guys think that might be a little too steep. The weekly wage for a guy like Rashford. That's the impression.
The problem is, Steve, is that when someone hears that he's getting 375, someone like a Romero, for example, will say, "Hold on a second," or a Van der Ven says, and eventually you get wage inflation, and then any advantage you have for SCR goes out the window.
On that, Sean, staying with you, because we all know the club's got money to spend, but we all know that Barcelona, Real Madrid, that Camavinga, I watched him at Real Madrid on a video the other day. I thought he's a baller, and I think they want rid of him. But do you see, even though we've got all this money we can spend, that we know that Barcelona, Real Madrid, PSG, Bayern have got good big squads and all that? Do you see us getting any loans in or loans to buy options? Do you see us doing that at all?
Do you see a player leaving Real Madrid to come to Spurs with no Europe, We've had two 17th place finishes season after season, last two seasons.
Arda Guler.
Did Van der Vaart do that?
Under normal circumstances, I'd see that, but I'm talking about if you've got quality players at Real Madrid or Barcelona, if they're in the same situation as Vasquez and Bergvall, they're not getting game time. Are they coming?
No, I don't see it. Sorry, Angela. You're not convincing me. I'm afraid. No, he's not.
I'm not trying to convince you. I'm just asking because I'm just wondering. We've been guilty of doing like we did a loan to Bayern on.
If Camavinga's coming to anyone, he's coming to the dark end of the Seven Sisters Road. Don't even countenance the idea.
He can beat the press and ping a ball, Camavinga, and yet apparently they want Rid. And he looks a blinding player in the video I've seen. But then I'd expect every Real Madrid player, whether in the reserves or not, to be good, right? So yeah, right. Where are we, Bellas? Let's talk. We'll do a bit on the World Cup, right? Because I want to talk about what is a bone of contention for me. Right, World Cup, yeah? Going to stay with you, Sean. Give us your take on dehydration breaks. I mean, like...
You mean advertising breaks? You mean the Americanization of an international game that's been going since the late 18th century?
Not the Americans. They're doing a great job of the World Cup to sell something anyway to an audience, right? But with me, my being...
Destroying the rhythm of the team. How many times is a team in the ascendancy? They go into the dehydration break and suddenly it's gone the other way. Nonsense. They've become coaching breaks. They've become advertising breaks. Forget it. The football is 45 minutes long. Yeah. It's shocking. It's part of the corruption of this World Cup.
So first and foremost, understand that the United States government had nothing to do with hydration breaks. Right? Last summer during the Club World Cup, they did it, and so that was their test run last summer for this summer.
No, it's FIFA corruption. I'm not blaming the government.
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? It was between FIFA and it was between Fox Sports. Me personally, I watched the Telemundo broadcast because I like Spanish broadcasters, but also during hydration breaks, there's absolutely no commercials whatsoever. They actually stay on the broadcast. Yeah. But here's the thing: I don't like it because it kills momentum, and I think we saw this in the Netherlands-Japan game, where as the second half got started, Netherlands actually grew into that game. They had taken a lead. They were absolutely dominant. Hydration break, and all of a sudden, Japan is allowed to come into the game because of it, and it killed all the momentum. Now that is just one isolated example. The games that I've seen, the teams that were supposed to win generally win those games. We really haven't seen a lot of upsets because of the hydration breaks. So for me, I'm actually perfectly okay with it. It doesn't bother me one iota. That being said, get used to it because every single World Cup from here on out is going to have hydration breaks. So it's something that you're just going to have to get used to. And by the way, if you don't like the hydration breaks because of the advertising, you sure as shit don't like the ticket pricing for this.
Oh yeah, the preferential treatment for Messi. Hold on a second, that man should have been red carded in his first game. Honestly, the FIFA corruption in this World Cup is a disgrace. In fact, the fact that there's been some good football is in spite of FIFA, not because of FIFA.
Yeah. Correct.
Oh, yeah.
Correct.
Alan, what next? Are we going to have hot weather substitutes or Bovril breaks in winter? Do you have Bovril in America, by the way? Do you know what it is?
No. Is it like a bone broth or something?
Do you have Marmite in America?
A little bit in like specialty places, but not really.
Oh, you know what it is? It's like a black gooey liquid.
My wife likes it.
Yeast extract, right?
Yeah.
And I like Bovril actually. So and I put it in stews as part of a stock, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah. So I mean,
I to be honest, I like them. I like the hydration break because the weather is not the same as it is in the UK. It is legitimately hot in those stadiums. And these guys, as elite athletes, I feel like by the end of the game, they would all be falling down. You know, they're going 100% for 90 minutes, for 45 and 45. Yes.
Alan, these elite athletes, there's now 48 teams. They're talking about 64 teams. Come on. When's it going to stop?
The sacrifice is the potential momentum. But
why don't they make it a Winter World Cup? They did it in Qatar.
Well, I mean,
yeah, and the weather was hotter in Qatar than it is here in the United States.
Yeah, just different weather, because it may have been hotter, but I don't know that they have the humidity like we have here.
Yeah, it's the good kind of hot.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing though is that and that's something that bothers me as well too, because the fact that the expanded World Cup, that pisses me off, because there's 15 teams that have no business being in the World Cup. And the only reason why it was done, it wasn't for the pageantry of these nations coming into the World Cup. It was because FIFA was allowed to sell tickets to, 12 more games in the group stages. I mean, that's the only reason why it was done, right? So this is all about a cash grab. As a matter of fact, the interesting thing about this was in Qatar 2022, they broke their revenue. They broke the revenue record for a World Cup, which was $7.5 billion. And they came out and publicly stated they wanted to break the $13 billion threshold with this World Cup. And congratulations, they're going to do it.
And also, you could argue as fans about the whole qualification process, because in Europe, especially, some good teams narrowly miss out at the expense of, right, say Asian teams, African teams, or something like that, who aren't at the standard of the teams in Europe that get knocked out. So, I mean, I'm into a meritocracy personally. I think the best teams should come through, right?
Yep.
But they want to promote the game, all around the planet. I get that, but I don't agree with it. But it doesn't matter, because my opinion is not going to count in this anyway. Go on. So
yeah, I want to push back on that. Apart from Italy, like, who else do you think should be there that isn't from Europe?
Well, apart from Italy,
yeah,
I can't remember who else didn't qualify.
What do you guys want? What, North Macedonia?
Maybe didn't qualify. Romania usually has
Ireland.
Romania, yeah, that's a good shout. I mean, to me,
Hungary,
Ireland, Finland.
Maybe not them, but I mean, I know
I'm an Ireland fan, but they're not good. They're not.
What? But that's the point though. There were teams that just aren't good enough. Like Cabo Verde and Curacao do not belong.
Let me throw this at you then, to make that Nations League, which is like more competitive, right, or some sort of World League. Why not have the World Cup teams drawn from their rankings? So wherever you're ranked in the world, if it is the top, 32, 64 teams, you are in the World Cup. That means that when you play your friendlies, you're then competing. You wouldn't have these qualifying groups that upset the Premier League and things like that. You could have, you've got to play these amount of games, and you're on your rankings. But then you've got the difficulty of Spurs, and you might be playing easier teams than someone else. But
that's right.
I'm actually confused. Like, what? So there's the Nations League, which they started recently, and then there's a separate World Cup qualification for Europe, or
yes,
there is
a lot of games. Sheesh. I don't know. Like, to be honest,
every 2 years we've either got the Euros or we got the World Cup.
Right.
So
I put on my business hat, and I understand why they're doing it. They're trying to, make as much money as possible. They probably had a bunch of NBAs dropped, put a bunch of things on slides and decks, and said more games. I understand why all this is happening, and like you said, Adrian, they want to grow the game, but the hope is that the cream will rise to the top, and we'll revert back to normal settings once the round of 16 kicks in. You're seeing the people who really deserve to be there, and the games are very high quality. One thing with the scoring averages for this World Cup, they're up considerably, and probably because you have, a lot of poor teams facing a lot of tough teams. So I guess for the neutral, it's great, but quality-wise, maybe not the best, but exciting. Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
I don't know how you do it, but I'd like to see the best teams be the ones that are at the World Cup. It's better for
right.
I think it'd be better for revenue as well, actually.
Well, so prior to the Nations League, we had something in our confederation called the Hex, the hexagonal. So we'd have the first stage of qualifying, and then I think it was like the top 8 teams move on to the Hex, and it really was a grinder. And at the end of the Hex, the top 4 teams in our confederation goes to the World Cup, and it really was a slobber knocker, if you will. And you know, you had to travel, and you had to have your best team available just to have the opportunity to qualify. Now that the Nations League is here, and now that we have a 64 tournament, we got rid of the Hex, and now World Cup qualifying has been so watered down. It was interesting. I was watching the UEFA World Cup qualifying, and it is a shell of its former self that would actually have the cream rise to the top. Do you, Adrian? I'm sure you guys remember this. Back for qualifying for the '98 World Cup, where England had to go down to Italy to get a point to qualify. You know, like that was the pressure cooker of UEFA, where good teams had to face good teams just for the right to even go to a World Cup. You know what I mean? And now it's like I looked at the UEFA qualifying this time around. I'm looking at the seedings, and all the top teams are in the weakest groups, and they're qualifying. They're qualifying without any type of resistance. It's like the World Cup, especially the qualifying to even get into it, is now just a shambles. Like, to me, it's watered down. It's complete shambles.
Yeah. What do you think, Al? Do you think there should be a better way of the better teams being able to qualify for this competition? I like the colour that the African and the Asian teams bring and the supporters they bring and all that, but I just think yeah, I mean
it's funny.
You get
it would go on forever, right? If you keep adding teams, it would start to go into the Premier League season. You know, it would start interrupting our normal business hours. And
you'd have a 2-month World Cup.
Yeah, I just don't see why we would ever want that to happen. You know, I know, of course, it would bring in more money, but that's not necessarily what I need to do for FIFA. I would rather concentrate on, if they're going to add any more games, maybe add a couple of games to the Premier League season if they're going to start adding, rather than to the World Cup season. It would just go, it would be boring, go on forever.
And like, it's a question. Well, on that, I mean, it's a question of like, I don't know how many teams, how many qualifying groups these other areas of this planet have compared to Europe. So there's a lot of countries in Africa. There's a lot of countries in Africa.
54.
Yeah, but they've got AFCON.
Yeah, they have. I think the AFCON the AFCON championships are the first entry into AFCON qualifying. Same thing with Asia, with the Asia Cup. That is the precursor to the Asian qualifying. Out here now, because we have the Nations League, that is our continental championship, but we still have the Gold Cup for Christ's sake, right? It absolutely makes no sense. It absolutely makes no sense. Like, if you want to have a good World Cup, go back to the way it was. Get rid of the Nations League and return qualifying back to its original settings, and the best teams will qualify for the World Cup. And if you do have a Curacao or a Cabo Verde or whatever the case may be, or even a Norway who didn't qualify forever, if they're able to sneak in, then it's going to be based off their merits and not because they were put in a group with North Macedonia and whatever podunk European nation that never qualifies anyway.
Yeah. It's
A lot of it is to do with FIFA politics. Yeah. Infantino has used the expansion of African teams, for example, to boost his position as head of FIFA. Yeah. So it's all. I mean, the corruption is unbelievable. I mean,
and blatant.
I think all I have to do is mention the name Jack Warner. and I think we all know where it's coming from, you know, or Sepp Blatter, or although actually Sepp Blatter, I'm actually wanting the days of Sepp Blatter again, because I think his replacement is actually worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least Sepp Blatter was on Main Street with his corruption. Infantino was like, everything is great. Everything is great. There's nothing going on here. He's like, yeah. Blatter was on Front Street with his corruption.
I mean, Zeus. I mean, the African teams, they've kicked on in the last 10 years or so, because Senegal, Morocco, I would expect Nigeria to do better with a population of like 250 million or whatever it is, you know. But and that African Nations Cup, when you get to the final, you think, I mean, like, this is why the Premier League are sniffing around at players, you know, from Africa.
Yeah, I mean, they've impressed, I think, pretty. I don't know who did
Ivory Coast, as well.
Yeah, Ivory Coast. I think, did all of them make it?
Senegal,
I'm not as,
I don't think Tunisia did they?
No, they got battered. Tunisia got battered.
Yeah, Tunisia. But yeah, it's kind of impressive. Well, I think maybe it's just a quality thing, right? Like, you have a large World Cup, and you're going to get disparity in quality again. But I mean, Nigeria should be in there. They had a lot of chances, but they kind of Congo is there instead of them, even though
DR Congo, yeah.
Yes, there was a situation where it might have been Congo. They had they fielded a player that was illegible. Might have lied about his age or something. Typical African. And I can make that joke. It's okay. I'm African.
Yes, that's all right.
And you know, Nigeria should be in there, kind of thing. But yeah, it's impressive so far. Like Senegal, they scored 5 today. But
yes, they did.
A red card, but it's good to see. It's been entertaining. The World Cup has been entertaining.
It's maybe impressive in a way, because we know for a fact that, like, you can think of the money that's in European football, phenomenal amount. In African football, if there is a lot of money in it, we know, like, quite a bit of it get diverted. So like, yeah. So I mean, so they've done well to get these teams through. There's a lot, but they would do anyway, because they've got a lot of countries in Africa that qualify, in North Africa.
Yeah.
But they've looked good. I mean, like, you know, if Kudus is fit for Ghana, you'd have Semenyo on one wing and Kudus on the other. You know, I mean, they've got good players. I mean,
and you know, Partey is a good player, even though he has all the legal stuff happening. But you know, they are good players.
You don't talk about Partey in our neck of the woods. No Partey. I mean,
he's Premier League proven at the very least. So, there's a lot of talent there, right? A lot of talent, and we're getting to see some of that. Like, I really think Ivory Coast, out of all the African teams, I expect them to kind of go the furthest. So watch out for them.
And what about the Asian teams? We're thinking, what, Japan the best team?
Japan is always good. Like, they're always good. Like, they have a lot of technical players on there. Like, the game against
Roger Miller,
or old school classic. Yeah. But the days
Japan's the real new hope.
Yeah,
Japan's Asian. That's it.
Japan.
My biggest disappointment has been the performance of South Korea.
Yeah.
Could be that song.
The Koreans have been such a disappointment, but everyone seems to be laying it at the hands of the coach.
He missed loads of chances in that first game. Sonny did, and then he was subbed, and he went in with the team for the second game.
Oh wow, yeah. Maybe I guess we were right to kind of sell him when we did. But Japan Netherlands, that game was 2-2, and I think Netherlands are my dark horse to win it all. So Japan being able to get a draw there, that was pretty impressive.
So, potential winners, guys, you can all jump in on this. Who do you think is going to win it? I put, dare I say, England at the back, because we always bottle it. We've done well, though. We get to finals recently. We've improved, but
France looks really good. They won really
good.
Pretty convincingly today.
Yeah.
They have a lot of young players. I still say we need to go for like a Desiree Doué or something like that. Just splash the cash. He's young. He's amazing. If we're going to be
brings it back to Spurs, what a good man.
Yeah.
Go for someone like that. Yeah. I know he's not leaving PSG, but you know, it doesn't hurt to try. Look, if you don't try, you never get it. but I see France, maybe Argentina. The way England played their last game didn't convince me. It was a hard game to watch. They really didn't do much in that game. I thought they should have. You know, it just depends. I could see the coach on the sidelines flipping out, and you know, the squad just never got out of first gear.
Zeus, and who's your outside choices? I mean, in theory, you'd think, or come to Sean. I mean, like Portugal would have a fantastic midfield of Ventina, Fernandez, and all that. Like, but Ronaldo, I think he's showing signs of age. He said he's back, but he scored goals against the weak team, didn't
he? Yeah. For outside choices, I kind of always said the Netherlands.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of cheating a bit, but a fellow who literally, predicts the World Cup, and I think he's been right the past 4. So I'm kind of going with his pick. But offensively, they definitely have a lot of firepower. So I'm kind of sticking with them, and I kind of see them doing the business. But France, definitely though, France is scary. France is super scary.
Sean, outsiders. I mean, probably they won't do it, but Ecuador, they beat Germany. We love beating
What a great
Germans.
game that was too.
And coming into this World Cup, they've got a really good defence. We wanted Hincapie. They've got Estupiñán there too. I don't know much else about their team, but they look solid. You know what I mean? I mean, like, if they gave the early goal to Germany, it didn't seem to like phase them too much. And
yeah, I mean, there's a closing of the gap definitely across the continents, but you can't, there's nothing like experience of winning the team that usually does well starts slowly, which is kind of it's kind of like a Netherlands, I think, and then who've then subsequently gone on to absolutely mash teams. I really hope it's not Argentina. I'm sorry. I just feel that the refereeing decisions that they've got in this last while have been more than corrupt. I think France have impressed me the most.
Oh yeah,
I would love an African winner. I think it's over time. It's overdue that there's an African winner of the World Cup. So Ivory Coast would be nice. Would be good. Yeah.
I think my look at them, I think Morocco are the best of them.
I was about to say Morocco.
Yeah.
And they've got Hakimi in it. I mean, I think they look the best. Out of these and outsiders, look, France. Mbappe gets that trick. Then and Dembele does it today for them. And they look just so strong, don't they? But we need some of these teams. We need to see them against better opposition, win the knockout rounds. That's what I like, the knockout rounds. Then I'll start to get a bit excited about it, Yeah,
I do too.
Yeah, because it's just better. On this, guys, we've been going 2 hours. Wow, it's been.
What? I don't get a say on who I think is going to win the World Cup. What's going on here?
Well, we all know that you think Pochettino's bringing it home.
Listen,
if they get the quarterfinals, they'll do well. USA. Let's be fair.
Listen, I'm jesting.
I don't think what's long overdue. What's long overdue is a representative from CONCACAF hoisting the biggest prize in world football, and that is the United States of America. It's bound to happen. It's been long overdue. And now that I got that out of the way, my final is France and England because those are the 2 best teams in the draw right now. But, 2, I can dream. I will always support my nation. But here's the thing. I think Zeus said something very insightful because I'm also a fan of the Dutch as well, too. I've always loved the way that the Dutch play soccer.
Yeah, I have as well.
My only criticism, and by the way, it's both. It can be both. Yes. Anyway, the only thing that I have that makes me upset about the Netherlands is the fact that they're still relying on Memphis Depay as their out and out target 9. I'm not a big believer in Memphis Depay because he's never came up clutch in big tournaments. And the other thing is the fact that who is going to be that guy late. Come on, man.
Broby?
Come on, man. Brian Broby. Who is going to be that guy who is going to be able to deliver a late goal that's going to get them to advance? They're a team that can get to a quarterfinal and a semifinal, but when you're going up against a France, a Spain, or an England or an Argentina, who is going to be that guy who is going to lift them over the top, right? The last time we saw them in the final was 2010? So, that was back when they had Van Persie and Wesley Sneijder and Iron Robin. I love the Netherlands, but that's my only concern with the Netherlands is who is going to be that guy who is going to deliver late when it counts the most. But that being said, I got France and England in the final because I think they're the two best teams in the draw. And and as of right now, it's like I don't. As much as I want the Three Lions to win it, I really do. I've been pulling for England for quite a long time. I like them, but the reality is, it's like France has so much depth and has so much firepower. They can kill you from like 5 different spots on the pitch. So it's for me. I think it's probably going to be France, but those are my 2 teams in the final.
Well, Alan, I should be watching the late game Uruguay-Spain after this podcast.
Yeah, gonna watch that tonight.
Yeah, Uruguay. I don't know too much about them, but I think they're going to give Spain a game, But
they have a pretty good team. Bentancur's on that team. What's his name from Liverpool?
Ugarte, yeah.
They got Ugarte, although the Ugarte arguably hasn't really lit it on fire at United. But what's his name from? He was at Liverpool and then moved on with the ponytail and the bun.
Darwin Núñez.
Núñez.
Yeah, Núñez. Oh yeah.
Yeah, they got Darwin Núñez. They have a pretty good team. I think they've underperformed this World Cup, but they have a team that can give. I don't think Spain's been that awesome, to be honest. I think Spain's been hit and miss. So it should be a good game. But
Brazil is good. I've been impressed with Vinicius Junior.
Come on, Brazil have been good.
Yeah.
My locals, they handed them that game the other night.
3-0, yeah.
The depression around my neighborhood is unbelievable.
I caveat that with the fact that, like I've said, a lot of these teams have thrashed poorer teams or beaten poorer teams. For England to step up, like Alan said, we need that second half performance at Croatia to be replicated in other games. I think the talent's there, but we've always had the wrong manager and the wrong tactics at the wrong time with England. So, guys, who's your favourite for top goal scorer? I've probably missed out someone here. You got Messi, looks like favourite. He's got about 5, hasn't he? Vinicius Junior, Kane's got a couple. Haaland didn't play today, so obviously they're not concerned. Norway not concerned about. Or he's not concerned about Ronaldo. I think he's had it. I still hate him, Ronaldo. I've got to be honest. I hate him for getting Wayne Rooney sent off. My hatred still festers deep on that, right? So, Ronaldo,
I hate him for a dive at White Hart Lane. There's only one player that I want to win to be the top goal scorer, and he's in the middle of your list.
Harry Kane. Yeah.
It'll be him.
I think Mbappe is gonna be the main man.
Oh yeah, I've missed Mbappe out. Yeah. So
he
even on Kane.
Big game.
Will we bother to start Harry Kane tomorrow at 10 o'clock?
It could be Ousmane Dembele. He scored a hat trick today.
Yeah, but I think Mbappe is more of a moment, like from the previous final, where he just.
But he can make something happen out of nothing, like the long range. Sort of echoed Gareth Bale. You know what I mean? When Bale used to do it as well. Oh, he's an exceptional talent. He's also frustrating, Mbappe, isn't he?
Yeah.
And like Dembele, but these French, they've got Desiree Doué as well at PSG. They're the team. And Manu Cohn. Reckon Roma might sell Manu Cohn for about 40 mil. Yeah. You've got to buy this guy. If we weren't into the 2 we're in, you've got someone in the Premier League's got to snap him up. He bossed the midfield in that first half.
Yeah, I think Messi currently leads it with 5. And that's probably, that's kind of, depending on exactly how Argentina progress, you would probably assume that he's probably going to grab at least 3 more as it progresses to the semifinals. So the safe pick is probably Messi. But I'm going to give a shout right here, because it wouldn't surprise me if Mbappe or Vinicius or Kane end up with it. But pay attention to Dennis Undav of Germany, who's got 3 right now. And throughout the group stage, he's been their most consistent goal scorer. And just a little out of left field shout right there, throwing some love to the German national team. So yeah, or Sadio Mane, yeah, I guess. But yeah, I would probably say the best bet is probably Messi.
Dance a beast. I think it's Sadio Mane is probably the best player we had.
Play in the Premier League.
Salah. It's a tough question.
Salah, isn't it?
Salah, Drogba.
Salah, Drogba.
Yaya Toure.
JJ Okocha, if you want to throw it back.
Oh, yeah. Good player.
I don't think it's Essien.
Yeah. I'm just
does that happen, though, Steve? Does France and England align to come? Are they in the opposite sides of the bracket?
Yeah, they're on the opposite sides of the bracket.
Oh, okay.
So, I think my semifinal, I had England beating Spain, and then I think I had France beating Argentina. Or the other way around, or it was England beating Argentina and France beating Spain.
Beast, mate. Steve's sending you a check in the post as soon as he's filming this. Checks in the post, Beast. Don't worry.
Beast of the 39.45. Yes, sir, we will.
Yes. He's making the migration break money.
I believe that we will.
What are you doing up this late, Jose?
Yes, Jose.
I mean, I'm hanging the show out. I've got to be selfish because, I know that the next game starts in 3/4 of an hour.
I've got to put the kettle on, Adrian. Hurry up.
Yeah. Hurry up, okay.
Cheers.
I don't know. Do you guys know much about Mexico? I mean, CONCACAF and all that. I mean, I don't know nothing about Mexico.
Yeah, they're anchored by.
Does Jimenez get in that team? Because he was sold from the Dutch league to one of the Italian teams, and he didn't score a goal in 16 games or something.
Yeah, they're anchored by Raul Jimenez, who's going to the championship with Wolves next season. But this is arguably the worst Mexico roster in the last 30 years. The quality in which Mexico used to produce is no longer a thing. It is a bunch of Mexican American dual nationals that are MLS based players. Not that that's a problem or anything like that, but the quality is just night and day different than it was back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Yeah, and we have to also remember that Victor Janssen went to Mexico and won the championship.
Won the cup or something, didn't he? Yeah. I'm going to plug the channel while we're still going. Look, 120 of you watching us on various platforms, which is brilliant. If you like the content and these superb guests who are regulars at Fridays on the Friday show, hit that red subscribe button in the bottom right corner. We are a very young show, Spurs. We're only 2 years old, but we are growing. Give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel and tell people about Spurs Diehards, yeah? And big up to everyone who watches on playback. A big up for everyone comments, loads of comments in the chat tonight, which is brilliant. And I'm still bringing them up. Sometimes we get a show, we're that busy we don't get time, but I'll always try and bring the shows up. But your comments always come up in the bottom right-hand corner anyway for the panelists to see and comment on as well. So we'll go through the chat. What was that? Yeah, we're talking about top goal scorers, yeah. And, yeah. The final, and is on the 19th of July, Sunday. Summer transfer window closes 44 days after the final, so which is Tuesday, the 1st of September. So that basically means should Spurs or other clubs be interested in players out there, not you can't sign them and have the medical done out there and all that, but you're going to have 7 weeks after the final to complete any transfer business, which actually the transfer window goes about 10 days into the start of the season because we align with Europe. Well, most of Europe. Turkey goes on longer. Saudi Arabia goes on longer than our window, and and I think the Netherlands teams because they've got all that snow in winter, which we never get in London, right? Which Sean loves playing snowballs in Scotland in the winter.
I do have some news, Adrian, that Spurs are finalizing a deal for Sandro Tonali with a transfer fee that is set to break the $100 million barrier or £100 million barrier. The agreement has been reached with Tonali, and it's like let's see, the figures are now well into double digits. His base salary will be what 12 to 13 million pounds. Plus bonuses. So it looks like that deal is probably going to get done.
Have you got a breakdown? Is it like X for the transfer fee and then the add-ons? Or
no, that's just the what I just
who's that
I'm
from?
Just reading right. From Alfredo Padula.
Oh yeah, he mentioned he was on earlier. Like I'm linked to him on XCOM. I'm linked to him as well as
Italian journalist savant. So it looks like Spurs will end up with Tonali.
And with my new Spurs season ticket, which I swore for the last 2 seasons, I'd never renew, right? Right? I actually there's a few things they're giving you with it now. Plus I get free paid membership to the Athletic. And Ornstein's very good on transfers. He's very good. Right? So that's like Z whatever. Jose,
I was just checking to see when we report for pre-season. It's the 5th of July. So the players will be back sweating before the World Cup is over.
I'm going to go through the chat, and I've got another banner to bring up. So on what you brought up, actually, because you triggered me there, Sean.
I do have to take off, Adrian, so I want to thank you.
I know, and we know you're a lightweight, Steve, so it's all right.
So, all right, guys. Thank you. Dude, yeah, I'm exhausted. I'm falling out. You guys take care tonight.
All right. So, please.
Take care, brother.
What I was going to bring up was... Not that. If I didn't delete it, no. Save that. Oh yeah, right. Okay, on that. On that week. Like this is what annoys me, guys. Sean, look, the tour, you mentioned the end of the season. Again, we're going to, like the other Premier League clubs, they're going to America and things like that in a 6-hour flight or 8-hour flight. You know, we go on the, they've got a word for the flight from England to Australia. I think the word murderous is in it somewhere. So we're in the Sydney Cup, a game against Chelsea. Right, that's a good start a wind up for the season. Saturday the 1st of August. Bearing in mind the season starts on the 22nd at the Accor Stadium. We've got a game against an A-League side in Sydney FC. And then we got on the July the 29th, which is 10 days after the World Cup final, we're playing at the Alliance Stadium. We're not playing. Oh, that's at their Alliance Stadium. It's not the Alliance Stadium in Germany, Bayern Stadium. Who arranges these tours?
Honestly, I used to really like when Spurs used to do pre-season trips around Britain. A couple of years ago, they came and played Hearts pre-season up here, which was really good. So I could just nip through to Edinburgh from where I stay and got to see Will Lancashire and the newly arrived Archie Gray and Lucas Bergvall, But, I don't understand it. Roma, who are my favourite team in Italy, they're doing a tour of Wales, of all places, you know what I mean? And it just doesn't make sense.
I know you're a Celtic fan, but going back, we all seem to have something. Well, we've had got a very historical Scottish influence at the football club.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to have pre-season games with Rangers, Glasgow Rangers.
Yeah.
They'd either come down and smash the town up, like as they normally do, Scots fans. You know what I mean? And
Hold on a second. I've got 2 weeks of evidence that Scottish fans do not smash towns up. They actually go and raise £10,000 for cancer charities in Providence, Rhode Island.
Break the goalpost and rip up the turf at Wembley. Or they break the goalpost and rip up the turf at Wembley. And I'm just riffing you on this. Yeah. So to me, I mean, we know this is all arranged. I mean, these tours need to be arranged with the manager, guys, don't they? He's the one who's got to have a pre-season. I've
Yeah, but
always
which manager?
the team back. Yeah, well, that's if the manager survived pre-season, of course, right? I've always said I'd like my club back at Hotspur Way a month before the season starts. And like you said then, Sean, then we can play like we did. You can play QPR. You can go and play clubs, put some money in their bank accounts because our fans will go and watch if you're playing Leighton Orient and all that. We can go and play a Scottish team. I mean, and then what happens? You get, we're getting arranged. We're playing a friendly. We're playing like Wimbledon behind closed doors at Hotspur Way. I mean, like, come on, at least
remember that time.
You agree? You make the money out of us, you know.
Remember they'd gone all around Southeast Asia, and then they came back and they sort of kind of arrived, and then Tottenham said, "Oh, we've got an opportunity to play Barcelona in Barcelona." It's like, what
when we
the hell?
We played Bayern Munich at the Alliance Stadium. And I'm thinking, and we were down in Australia, and because we had that game arranged in Singapore and the one in the K League in South Korea, we played the game. I think it was West Ham. Then we're getting on a plane. We've only arrived there a couple of days before, haven't adjusted. We're getting on a plane and going to Singapore or South Korea to play the K League time. It was all this, right? Look, I don't mind going and playing them, but plan the tour out with the players' welfare. Take that into consideration as well, and make sure.
I suppose the other thing is that it is a chance for our fans on that side of the world to see their heroes in the flesh.
Yeah, it is.
And we do have, substantial supporters in that part of the world. But I mean, as you say, I'd rather they went to North America. But then I suppose North America's probably done to death, this year, with the World Cup and everything,
So we'd do a trip to Canada and America simply because in America itself, Spurs have got the fastest growing fan base out of any club, right? I think that's probably because of the NFL connections as well at the stadium. People think they've got an NFL team. We'll support Spurs as well. I may be wrong, right? But I think that does have an effect,
I have to dig into the bottom of that, but I know Spurs actually did come to Toronto. This is like 2014, played TFC.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Andros Townsend got a goal. I can't remember who scored the others, but in terms of Canada, I don't know Steve Nash. I don't know if you're familiar with him, the basketball player.
Steve Nash, born in Tottenham.
Yeah, he's a huge Spurs fan. So maybe from the Canada side of things, that might be that connection. But I don't know why the U.S. Because I know what's his name, football player Chad Ochocinco. He's also a Spurs fan, like big Spurs fan.
Mm-hmm.
The American football player. He's a big Spurs fan, so I don't know. I don't know what and also Bill Simmons. He's a big sports writer. He's a big Spurs fan, so maybe some of these guys, their influence, spirit, and people just kind of tack on. But it's a good story. Why a lot of people supporting Spurs.
And there's an Antonio Spurs. Are they basketball team?
Yeah,
they are. Yeah, San Antonio. Yeah.
Do you think because we got a similar sort of name that maybe not? Maybe line with it.
No,
it probably worked the reverse way here, though. If people like basketball and they'll support an American team, they'll do that. Yeah. I mean, the reason
it would have been nice to go to say Colorado and have a friendly against Colorado Rapids now that Matt Wells is there.
Well, the reason I'm not a big fan of American football. I've watched it at Spurs Stadium. I find it a bit slow. But when it was first brought over on a Channel 4, I was a fan of Miami Dolphins because I like dolphins.
There you go.
And also because at the time, you had Mark Duper and Mark Clayton as the wide receivers at Miami, and you had Dan Marino. Dan Marino as the quarterback. And although Miami have never really won, I think the best record in the history was winning every game, going to a Super Bowl. I think they hold that record, so at Miami. But apart from that, ever since I think I put the Spurs curse on them when I started supporting them.
They've been crap ever since.
Yeah,
Yeah. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of American football because it's so like physical. I find that football is more about skill and your touch and all these things. American football, it's literally like brutes. How brutal can you be? Well, at least on the is it offensive tackle or whatever? I don't know, man. I just don't like raw brutes just having their way kind of thing. I like skill. No offense.
Let's go travel agents. Yeah.
I saw did you see the interview with Tom Brady with Gary Neville and Ian Wright and Roy Keane? I thought that was really interesting.
I've seen it, but I haven't watched it. But I just saw that they.
Yeah. There's some really interesting, especially about sports science. And he says that he's bringing some of his American football experience to Birmingham City because he's obviously he's a minority shareholder of Birmingham City. So it's interesting, yeah.
Well, you bet they'll turn these clubs into a money spinning success because they're very good at that. I mean, they're putting on a great show so far at the World Cup. Even though I haven't really got the fever. Well, because there'll be more jeopardy when it's not, knockout, won't it? There'll jeopardy will be there. Like you either win the game or that's it. Like
you go home, yeah.
So that'd be good, guys. It's been great. We've been going for 2 hours 25 minutes. Can't believe it. And it's hot. And I'm going to watch this next game because I'm not going to be able to sleep in this heat. So.
Yeah. Anyway, really good to see you, chaps. And I will see you guys. Catch you next Friday.
I just want to say,
I have a quick favor.
Go on.
I told you I was doing some reporting for a newspaper out here, and I wrote an article about some of the FIFA festivities. So I don't know if you can help plug that to your
link it. You can link us some now.
So yeah,
cool.
You're in the WhatsApp.
It's pretty short, guys. It's like 500 words or so. So
right. Post it in the WhatsApp group. You're allowed to post anything in there. There's about 20 other podcasters that post in our WhatsApp group. And on that, the 130 of you that have listening or watching us on various channels, I mean, like, if you ever want to come on a show, I need your phone number. I'll give you mine. We can exchange that through private message, either through the Spurs Diehards Facebook group or on XCOM, probably better. And we'll add you to the WhatsApp group. There's about 102 in the WhatsApp group, I think, which is like, it's a very mature and sensible group. I left every other WhatsApp group that have rows. I just couldn't bother to listen to the crap, right? So, yeah, but that's good. So plug in the channel. If you can hit that red subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner and give the video a thumbs up, it really helps the algorithm. Big up to everyone in the chat. Thank you for all your questions. I think I've got through them all, which is a miracle because there's a lot of them. And big up to everyone who watches on playback. My thanks to my guests. You know who you are. The links are in the channel to Ellen and Steve. Sean and Zeus don't run their own show, but Zeus, bung it or ever post it to me on WhatsApp, and I'll post it. It doesn't matter, and we'll stick it out there because I do write-ups when I've got time. I do them as well.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. We've got it, which is good. Yeah, it's been a good show. And like normally, close season is murder for podcasters to have something to talk about, but we seem to have got through it.
So much stuff.
Yeah. And I've got to do another show Sunday, so I've got to fill in gaps on that. So what am I looking for here? Right, yeah. I just wanted to get rid of the comment, didn't I? And put the other thing up. That was what I was doing. Right, okay. Yes, you can find us here, guys. The 130 of you watching us on various platforms. You can find us on Spurs Diehards, which is the YouTube channel. You can find us on XCOM, their link, and you can find us on Facebook. We've got massive following on Facebook. I don't know why we can't get them over here. There's like nearly 14,500 on Facebook followers, but I started that in 2019 when the stadium opened, so that's why I got that following on there. And whereas this group's only been going a couple of years. So thank you, Nita, loyal supporter of the group. Right, with that, guys, I'm going to end the stream and play you out with this noisy piece.
See you guys next week.
All right, peace.
Until I die.